happy Friday, Junior, everybody. One more day away from that sacred day that we all love, which is Friday. I'm, of course, your host, David. On point right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins. And if you're looking for consistent content on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, you've come to the right place. Prime Sports World goes live every single day, basically, to bring you guys the most up-to-date content. Yesterday, we did San Francisco season preview. Today, we're going to be breaking down the Arizona Cardinals season preview. And, of course, I'm joined here by the always astute Mr. TJ Hopkins. How you doing, man?
I'm all right. How are you?
You know what? I'm doing okay, man. You know, it's football is currently on my television. You know, I do not hate that. Let me tell you, I do not hate that.
Yeah, it's a pretty sight. It's a pretty sight.
It's nice. Also, as I mentioned on every show, I'm going to share the StreamYard link into all of the places. So if you want to join us and talk a little bit of Arizona Cardinals football, you're more than welcome to do so. But yes, keep your comments, PG, because we don't want to get in trouble with the Zuckerberg or whoever owns YouTube/Twitter, because it's not Elon Musk, because that never happened. But yeah, Arizona, man. So what's the deal with the Arizona Cardinals? Season kind of a dark horse team last year, kind of came out of nowhere with an 11 wins campaign. What are we thinking about Arizona this season as opposed to what, like, just in general?
Well, there's not really much to expect from them. They always tend to have this, they start off real strong and then inevitably the wheels fall off, and it's kind of like the tail that is the Arizona Cardinals, right? Like we saw it with what's his name, when Carson Palmer kind of rejuvenated his career there, and it was like they had some good years, but they could never get over that hump. And then like this past season, you start out 9-0. Yeah, 9-0 and 9-1, and then you made one post. All right, you come to Chicago, you beat a bad Bears team, and then you turn the bean in Millennium Park into a meme. Like you flip the bean upside down and you place the cardinal bird on top of it, and then you lost basically every game but one
after that. Yeah,
after that Bears game, and each game got worse and worse for you, with the penultimate playoff game that was, well, I wouldn't even call that a playoff game. That was just
it was a shellacking. Let's be real.
So yeah, like I don't know what, like it's just I expect more of the same, right? You're not gonna have DeAndre Hopkins for like the first 2 months of the season.
Yeah, we'll talk about DeAndre Hopkins. He's one of the storylines we're gonna be following for this team this season.
Obviously the bigger storyline here is the guy at quarterback and what he has put on himself. Like no one did it but himself. So
yep.
Yeah.
So I expect Arizona to be pretty good. Do I expect them to be one of the elite teams in the NFC? No. I think the losing DeAndre Hopkins for 2 months of the season, I think, is going to be a crippling loss. And we're going to touch on this when we get to free agency, but like they lost Chandler Jones and like didn't replace him with anybody. Like it's difficult to replace a guy who maybe calling himself in Canton when all said and done when it comes to Chandler Jones. But yeah, I think it's still up in the air. I think if he's moving on from there, let's talk about their storylines. First of all, Kyler Murray, he got his extension. As TJ mentioned, that contract is worth 5 years, $230 million. 104 of it is guaranteed. It comes out to about a $46 million year contract. I think it makes him like the third highest paid quarterback in the National Football League. Now that he's signed that extension, he was threatening to hold out. He wasn't going to play until the contract was signed. Now, pen to paper. Will he end up playing up to that contract? What does he need to do to make the Arizona Cardinals not have buyer's remorse when it comes to that contract and that cap number, given what happened to the Arizona Cardinals towards the tail end of last season and basically what happened the last 2 seasons where he's dealt with a lot of injuries because he is a smaller, slighter quarterback?
That, like, you play up to it like you're there. All right? You don't, you don't wet the bed like you did the last month and a half of the season. You don't have the worst playoff game statistically ever, right? You don't throw the worst interception anyone's ever seen ever, right? Like you stop the buyer's remorse by performing when you're expected. Okay, so now that we know that you can be a playoff caliber quarterback, you were in the MVP race for much of the season, but then again the wheels fell off. Right,
Yeah,
guys
he
like
was. He also got injured, missed 2 games. But I mean, his number. I mean, his completion percentage has gone up every single season he's been in the National Football League. His
yeah,
interceptions have gone down every year he's been in the National Football League. So I mean, I think that the trajectory is trending up for Kyler Murray. He's been a back-to-back Pro Bowl. As wishy-washy of a stat as that is now about making the Pro Bowl, because ridiculous, like all sorts of crazy people have made the Pro Bowl who have no business being the Pro Bowl.
it's
Um,
it's not the achievement that it used to be.
True.
What was I about to say? It's like guys like him, guys like Lamar. All right, you got to take their injuries with a grain of salt because of their style of play. All right, like they're gonna get nicked. All right, like you just hope that them getting nicked doesn't turn into something more serious. So like you can deal with Kyler missing 2 games, especially when you got off to the start that you got off to last year, right? Like 9 games, Kyler didn't get hurt till basically more than the halfway point of the season. By that point, your seeding was basically clinched.
Yeah, I mean they were already locked into a playoff position at basically at 9 wins. All you had to do is win 2 games down the stretch. They did lose the division because of the Arizona to the Los Angeles Rams, but there's no guarantee they weren't going to do that anyways. I mean, the Los Angeles Rams came up real hot towards the end of their end of the season after kind of a sluggish middle where they lost a couple games
Yeah.
back to back. Like right after they got OBJ, there was all this narrative about like can they win with him, but yeah, obviously they proved that they were the best team in the NFL. And I mean, not to mention, yeah, I mean the Arizona Cardinals went up against the Rams in the playoffs, and as we've seen in the playoffs, they were the best team in the NFL for a reason. And yeah, they made the Arizona Cardinals look silly. And they had a lot of growing schemes to be with there with Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury as a coach and a head coach in a duo. But yeah, I expect Kyler Murray to put up similar numbers to what he's done so far in his career. I mean, he's been a productive quarterback. I mean, and as you like to always point out, like before Kyler Murray got there, I mean, you were picking first in the draft. I mean, I've taken you guys to better places than anyone who drafted ever.
Since I've been, yeah.
I
Since
mean,
I've been here,
I cannot remember the last time Arizona drafted a quarterback who got them to the playoffs, but actually drafted. Like they didn't draft Kurt Warner, they didn't draft Carson Palmer.
right, yeah, right. Not
Like,
a free agent.
Yeah, like a guy they
like,
actually drafted took them to the playoffs. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how far back you got to go to even come up with a name.
So it is, and I point that statement. I do that all the time when I talk about John Elway and the Broncos. Like, bro, you don't get credit for Peyton Manning. All right, like if Russell Wilson does his wonders, you're not going to get credit for him because you didn't draft him, you didn't develop him. All right, so if you're the Arizona Cardinals, like obviously, back to Kyler Murray, the elephant in the room that everybody's talking about is the film study clause that was added to his contract, then taken out of his contract, and
I don't actually care about that at all. Like I'm not.
I mean, like it's again, like it's
I know it was a talking point, but I mean, come on.
Come on, what?
It was just one of those silly things. Like you don't think the guy watches tape? Like, come on.
Obviously, they don't feel like he's watching tape enough in order for them to put it in his contract.
And then take it out. I mean, they didn't feel strongly enough to keep it in.
The only reason they took it out is because of the outcry that came with it. All right, it's actually a bad look. Like it went from a bad look on Kyler Murray to them being some punks and rescinding it, and that's a bad look on you because it went from you're going to hold him accountable to Kyler's mad at me and the public's mad at me, so now I got to take this out. Now you're a bunch of punks. Because that's what you are. You're a bunch of punks. Because all you have to do is hold him accountable because you shouldn't have to tell your franchise quarterback to watch more film than what he's watching. You seriously gonna sit here and think Tom Brady only watches 4 hours of film?
No, he for sure does not. Tom Brady doesn't leave. It doesn't continue to.
Tom, and it wasn't 4 hours a day. It was 4 hours for the entire week. Tom Brady watches 4 hours when he wakes up in the morning. All right, like Russell Wilson. Russell ain't. You don't have to tell Russell, "Hey man, you got to watch film." All right, you shouldn't have to tell your franchise. Like if you're a franchise quarterback, that comes with the territory. You watch film on the flight home after the game.
Yeah.
So like it's a bad look that I have to tell my franchise quarterback who I'm paying $200 some million. Hey man, you got to watch 4 hours of film a week, and you can't play video games while you doing it. That means you're going home, hitting play on the tablet, and just letting it run. You aren't watching anything because now what you set yourself up for, every bad play you have, every bad read, every bad turnover. Damn, is he watching film?
Yep.
Is he like? Come on. Like that's what you set yourself. Like you no longer get the benefit of the doubt.
All right. The last quarterback the Arizona Cardinals drafted to take them to the playoffs was Jake Plummer in 1998.
Jesus Christ!
Like the last time they drafted a quarterback that took them to the playoffs, 1998. Who they drafted in 1997, a second round pick, Jake Plummer.
That's a name. Oh.
Like that's how long it's been since Arizona drafted a quarterback that took them to the playoffs since before Kyler Murray did it. Like that's I mean that's the kind of history we're talking about here. With like this is the kind of like if you want to make the like I got you guys to the playoffs. Please pay me, and he got paid. He deserved it. I expect him to play a little bit better. I expect him to be as good as he has been in the past seasons. I do expect him to miss a couple games here and there. Like he only played 14 games last season, so that sounds like the number that he'll probably play this season too.
Yeah, anything over, basically you want him to play in that like 12 to 14 games because that's given his body, given his frame, given his style of play. Like he's gonna take a couple shots and he's gonna get nicked, right? And it's gonna happen. But go ahead.
Well, moving on from Kyler Murray, let's just talk about DeAndre Hopkins, suspended for PED, first 8 games of the season. So let's talk about who needs to step up in his absence. So the first 8 games in their schedule are pretty tough. Looking at their depth chart, they got, Hollywood Brown, who for some reason the internet is making a big deal about his speeding ticket. I don't know. Zach Ertz, AJ Green, Rondale Moore's rookie coming into his second team. Antoine Wesley had some decent moments last season. Andy Isabella is a guy they've been waiting forever to actually do something, which, who knows. Trey McBride is a rookie. Max Williams is a guy the tight end that they like. So who needs to step up? And James Conner, Darrell Williams, they got from the Kansas City Chiefs. Benjamin was a rookie last season. So DeAndre Hopkins out 8 games. Who needs to step up?
Everybody. Literally everybody. Right, it's gonna have to be a receiver by committee kind of thing. All right, like so every name that you just said is gonna have to have some moments, right? Because we already teams are gonna face them. The Arizona Cardinals, they know all right, you're vulnerable now, right? Like I don't have to focus or divert most of my secondary help to just one guy, right? Everybody can go man up. Single high man across the board. Nobody strikes that fear on that receiving core that I gotta double him. AJ Green, he ain't that AJ Green no more. All right, like you want him to be, but he's not. He's not that AJ Green no more. Hollywood Brown, no, he don't catch the ball consistently enough. Right, the only one that you probably gotta kind of maybe double. And I put that in quotation marks is probably Zach Ertz, who still got some tread left on the tire.
Yeah. I also welcome into the show, CEO of Prime Sports World, Mr. Ezra Rivera. Welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
What's going on, guys? Yeah, doing good, man.
So, we're breaking down the DeAndre Hopkins suspended 8 games for PED bust. So, who needs to set up? I agree with you, TJ. I think it does need to be a little bit of everybody. Christian Kirk's no longer on this roster. These are guys that are all going to need to step up. AJ Green is probably a shell of what he used to be, but he's still a good NFL wide receiver. But I think what they're really going to be looking for is Rondale Moore to really take that step forward. I mean, the guy was decent as a rookie, had some moments, but like if anybody is going to step up and like quote unquote be DeAndre Hopkins, it's going to have to be Rondale Moore. He's going to be the guy that's going to need to step up. And Hollywood Brown, he's a flyer. He's a speed weapon. He should open things up underneath for a guy like Rondale Moore to have, effective games back in, like especially AJ Green too and Zach Ertz. So you just send Hollywood Brown, deep, and hope everything else works out underneath. But yeah, Rondale Moore is the guy I think they look to step up for the Arizona Cardinals this season in the absence of DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, I agree with you, David. I was literally gonna pick him. Because that is, I mean, he had piggybacking off of a pretty decent rookie season last year. Rondale Moore should be able to step up. Hollywood Brown too. I mean, come on now. You playing?
Arizona gave him a first-round pick for him. So I mean,
yeah, they gave up a first-round pick for you, brother. I mean. You better show that you're worth that first round pick, right? That's some goods right there. So a little bit of him. I agree with TJ. Everybody's got to kind of put their best foot forward and hold the fort down. They got more than enough though to hold it down. I mean, all the guys that you got to mention, they all have talent in some sort of capacity. Rondale Moore's a talented wide receiver. Hollywood Brown's a speedy flyer. Zach Ertz. We already know what he brings to the table. Trey McBride, the Mackey Award winner, their first pick in their second round pick, when they're in the draft. He's a guy that's gonna have to step up. Andy Isabella, AJ Green, shell of himself, but he can still play. So a little bit of everybody, but I'll go with Rondale Moore as well, and a little bit of Zach Ertz too.
Okay. Moving on to the last storyline, we got the Isaiah Simmons drafted. I think it was like 8th overall in the draft a couple years ago. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago now. Has been semi-underwhelming as a pro. Everybody kind of thought he'd be a little bit better than this, but he is very young. Is this the year? Do you think he'll live up to that potential? The rumblings out of training camp is that he's looked awesome. I always take that stuff with a little bit of a grain of salt because they rarely say
Rondale Moore, right?
No, Isaiah Simmons.
No, Isaiah Simmons.
My bad.
So they rarely say that like a player looks terrible in training camp. Like it's always the positive stuff. But do you think this is the season where Isaiah Simmons will finally live up to that like that draft hype that he had when he first came out of college?
Well, it has to be, right? Like Chandler Jones is no longer there to take reps from him at the edge. And the thing is, like when he was in college, he was a Swiss Army knife because he was allowed to be. Right? He had reps at edge. He had reps at linebacker. He even had reps in coverage at the safety spot. And when you do all of that stuff at the college level, it's kind of hard to separate yourself. Like, all right, so like what exactly do you do well to play at the next level? Because in the NFL, you're not going to be all over the field like he was in college. All right? So it's like we need you to find one niche and get good at that one niche. So hopefully he can be that edge rusher that they need. Well, now they need him because J.J. Watt is,
old.
Yeah, he on the other side, but you can count on J.J. Watt getting hurt too.
Yeah, I mean his career numbers. I mean he's only had 3.5 sacks for his entire career. Last season he had 105 tackles, 65 of those solo. He did have a pick.
He's playing more than inside linebacker position, anyways.
Yeah, he's playing a little bit of hybrid Mike outside.
Expect many sacks out of that. Look, I'm telling you right now, he's gotten better every season he's been. He's got 105 tackles last year. The year before, he's had 60 tackles. Expect him to take another leap up, kind of in that Rashawn Gary range. Everybody was saying Rashawn Gary was a bust or was gonna be a bust, but he's gotten better every year. I look at this kid; he's getting better every year. I mean, young kid, he's entering his 3rd year. He should be up. He should be up there with some of the best linebackers. Best young linebackers this season. When you have over 100 tackles in your 2nd season, I mean, it's not too shabby.
I think also if you're Arizona, you need Zayvon Collins to step up. You draft him to be an outside linebacker, produces 0 sacks last year. I think he got hurt early. I don't think he played much, but You're not looking for that kind of production out of a guy you used in the first round on pick number 16 in the first round. He played all 17 games. I lied. So you have 0 sacks out of Zayvon Collins. So he was a guy that really needed to step up this season.
I look at Isaiah Simmons and like, can you be for me what Harold Landry is for the Titans, basically? Can you be him? All right, like, and it's about time. It's time. Like, hey, bro, step up. You got to, because in my opinion, they should have never had to trade for JJ Watt. I get it, it's JJ Watt. Right, like every team would love to have JJ Watt, but and I kind of put that.
I think they signed him in free agency actually.
No, they traded for or did they? Oh,
I think JJ Watt got released by the Texans and he signed with the
Cardinals. He did. But nonetheless,
either way, you're still valid. Like, I mean, if Isaiah Simmons had been doing what he was supposed to be doing in year one, there would be no need to sign JJ Watt.
And I kind of put that on the coaching staff too. So like it's 50-50 player, 50 and on the staff. So like as a coaching staff, are you putting this player in the best position to be successful, to help you? Because if you're not, then you can't say, oh, Isaiah Simmons isn't doing this, that, and the third when you're not utilizing him correctly. So it's like you got to pick. Like you got to help him help you, basically.
Yeah, Vance Joseph is their new defensive coordinator, so hopefully he puts them in better situations to be a more productive player. We'll see. Let's get into their draft. So first of all, they didn't have a first-round pick as a result of the Marquise Brown trade. You can talk about if you think he's worth the first-round pick or not. Trey McBride, tight end out of Colorado State, was their first pick and pick number 55. Cameron Thomas, defensive end out of San Diego State. Micah Sanders, defensive end out of Cincinnati. Keontae Ingram, running back USC. Lucius Smith, guard out of Virginia Tech. Christian Matthew, defensive back out of Valdosta State. Jesse Luketa, linebacker out of Penn State. And Marquise Hayes, guard out of Oklahoma. What do we think about this draft class? I will let Izzy go first.
Well, Trey McBride, I spoke on him earlier. He's kind of in that Zach Ertz mode. He's the Mackey Award winner. He's the best tight end coming out of college football. He's a weapon. Their third round pick, I think, actually is probably going to end up being one of their better picks. Cam Thomas had double-digit sacks in San Diego State last year.
11 and a half.
Fast as heck off the line. He had up to like 6, like he had a lot of pressures. He was up there in the nation's leading in quarterback pressures as well.
23 and a half tackles for loss, 61 quarterback pressures.
There we go.
11 and a half sacks in 1 year.
Yeah, when I was looking up his stats, so I was like, wow. Cam Thomas is a guy that they're going to look to probably day one to be, one of their, a contributor at pass rusher. Because when I look at their outside linebackers, I'm not really too impressed. When I look at their edge rushers, I'm not really too impressed with them, right? Micah Sanders, another guy from Cincinnati, he's another guy that they're gonna want to contribute right away as well. So I like their 2 third-round picks. Keontae Ingram, just gives you that depth at running back, and then the rest of their picks are just kind of fill-in depth picks. But their first 3 picks I think are real solid, especially if Trey McBride ends up, being like kind of like another Zach Ertz. I mean, that's a win right there. In the
1,100 yards for Trey McBride, 90 catches his final season there at Colorado State. He's got the prototypical size, what you're looking for in a tight end. And Max Williams is not exactly a guy you're probably going to be relying on because he's proven that he can't stay healthy.
Nope.
And then the guy from Cincinnati, defensive end, 14% of his plays last season resulted in pressure, which is pretty good. Although he only had 2.5 sacks last season, but all of that could be relative. Like nobody else on the edge, so that you block on that side and develop depending from rooting your game plan. As we talked about before, he's got the prototypical size for somebody looking for a defensive end. Yeah, I think those 365, 228. He ran a 4.67 in the 40. Like that's kind of what you want out of a defensive end. And for the rest of their picks, I mean, Keontae Ingram, 6 foot, 215 pounds, can be a change of pace back for Joe James Conner because they lost Chase Edmonds in the offseason. And then, the rest of their picks, they're 100% death picks. I mean, Matthew, the kid from Valdosta State, 6'2" corner. A real big, speedy corner. You'll like that.
Yeah, I like that.
And Penn State, Jesse LaCourte. Yeah, Jesse LaCourte, Penn State used to be Penn U or linebacker U at one point in his career. It might still even be linebacker U. But yeah, that's another guy who comes out of a guy who could probably give you some pass.
Those two picks you just mentioned, those 7th round picks, man. Honestly, I think down the road they'll be some type of contributors as well down the road. Jesse LaCourte, I could see being on like special teams. Christian Matthew though, out of Valdosta State, that's a big corner, man. That guy's got range. I expect him to, down the road, get some in the rotation, get some snaps in the rotation here.
TJ,
it's possible. I definitely think Keontae Ingram could work his way into the rotation. I don't know, David. You kind of lamented that running back situation. I would have to see where he's listed.
So he's currently listed as the fourth running back on their depth chart after Darnell Williams, who they just signed, and Edo Benjamin, who was a decent running back last season. So I mean, who knows what his role is going to actually end up being.
So who's a starter?
Oh, James Conner, dude.
James Conner. Yeah,
James Conner had more led the league in rushing touchdowns.
Led the league in rushing touchdowns. Yeah. My man. And we know Darrell Williams is a solid backup too.
That release spot is up for grabs. I'm gonna say that.
Way to throw shade, TJ, without throwing any shade.
That release spot is up for grabs. Anyway, Trey McBride is definitely gonna get some snaps. It's you don't win the Mackey Award and not play. Like the only way that happens is if you just completely out of touch with the offense. They just can't use you. Right? Your route running is terrible. You can't hold on to the ball. You can't catch the ball. Like that's the only way as a Mackey Award winner in college that you don't make it to the NFL, or you barring an injury, which we're not hoping for. Everybody else is, especially those 7th round picks. Those are depth moves. Those are special teams moves. That's except Marquise Hayes. You're not going to throw a guard on kickoff.
Probably not at least.
But he might be there on like field goals and whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, all in all, it's a pretty solid, a pretty solid draft. You're banking on Hollywood Brown being your 1st round pick because that's what you gave up to get him. So if Hollywood Brown has a bad first year, that's essentially a waste of a 1st round pick.
Yeah,
I like you brought that up.
Not to mention, I don't think he's on a contract after this season, so they may have to commit money to him in the offseason, either this season or next season.
And it's
they could have. Yeah, no, I like that you brought that up because I mean, you waste the 1st round. I mean, you use a 1st rounder on Hollywood Brown. I mean, you could have got a bevy. There was a bevy of wide receivers to choose from in that 1st round.
Which, me personally, I don't get.
But none of them is good or as established as Hollywood Brown early is.
No, not at all.
And especially if they already knew that the DeAndre Hopkins suspension was coming, was in the suspension. Like you need somebody who was actually established and actually proven in the National Football League as opposed to taking a flyer on somebody. I don't necessarily hate it.
I wouldn't have given him a 1st rounder.
Exactly.
I wouldn't have done it either. But I think that if that was the price, I mean, I guess that's what you got to pay.
I wouldn't go that Hollywood Brown is proven what?
You got DeAndre Hopkins for a 3rd rounder.
Like
yeah. That's because that was like the worst team management in the history of the league. I mean, come on.
And then you waste the 1st rounder on Marquise Brown. Come on, bro.
But back to this.
Let's not pretend like the guy didn't have 1,000 yards last season. Not that that's a great accomplishment. It's not what it used to be, but it's still 1,000 yards.
Okay, and I get that, but how many drops did he have? Like
I don't have that number.
And really, TJ, how much of a game changer is he?
Like that's a
he's fat.
He's not much of a game changer in my opinion. I mean,
that's a great question. Like, no, seriously. seriously, like, do like when teams played the Baltimore Ravens and he was there, did they ever go, "Hey man, we got to shut down Hollywood Brown"?
No,
We
No,
got
I
single
mean,
line.
that's because they had Mark Andrews giving them all sorts of problems. I mean, come on.
that's the okay.
That's
So
the
like,
point, though.
that's thank you. That's literally
That's
the
the
point.
point.
Let's talk about their roster shakeup. We can talk about Hollywood Brown some more here.
Ooh.
So notable additions, Jordan Phillips, the defensive out of Buffalo, Hollywood Brown, first round pick, Will Hernandez from the Giants, Nick Vigil. I can't remember where he's from. Then they lost Chandler Jones, Christian Kirk, Chase Edmonds, and Jordan Hicks. What do we think about their free agency / roster shakeup? And if you guys want to continue talking about Marquise Brown, that would be now would be the time to do so. Jordan Phillips, defensive end, he came from Buffalo. Nick Vigil.
Nick Vigil came from Minnesota.
Yeah, he was on the Vikings last season.
Anyway, back on Hollywood Brown. I'm just playing. Obviously, like the one that's gonna hurt them the most is Chandler Jones. Right? You're not replacing. I mean, it's hard to replace what he's give you. And David, to your point about Chandler Jones maybe in Canton one day, Chandler Jones is going to Canton, bro. Like he's going.
Okay, I mean,
he's going to Canton. Like it's just a matter of when. You feel me? Like because he's going. So, and Christian Kirk, like, yeah, I'd have let his ass go too.
He's got 107 career sacks. Yeah, he's for sure going to hold the Hall of Fame.
The only thing he's missing to me that will solidify his case is a DPOI. And all those years he was leading the league in sacks for the Cardinals, they were just god awful. Right? So like you can't give a guy the defensive player of the year when his team is winning 4 to 5 games a season. That's just not how that goes. That's just, like, yeah, you getting 20 sacks, but your team's 4-12. Like, just not happening. But yeah, Christian Kirk, I'd have let his ass walk too. Like, bro, who do you think you are that you you come to me talking about some the Jags gave you this? Can you match that? No, you go to Jacksonville. Matter of fact, as a parting gift, I'm gonna buy your ticket out of here. How about that? Like, I will help you get there. If you think I'm gonna give you an ounce of what they gave you.
I mean, Christian Kirk is a good football player, but yeah, he's certainly not worth the money that he's going to be currently getting paid by the Jags.
Say Christian Kirk is a good football player with a straight face.
He's a good football player.
He's a serviceable wide receiver. He's not worth the money. He's not worth the money,
but he's a fine wide receiver. Like, he just is. He's fine.
Like, you can't even say that with a straight face. Like, I'm not finna, like, no, bro. Like, you had more than enough of an opportunity to separate yourself and establish yourself as the clear number 2 on this team, right? They had to go out and get A.J. Brown to put next to DeAndre Hopkins because you couldn't step up enough.
Wrong color.
I'm looking at his contract.
Wrong color, but you're in the right ballpark.
Is he getting his contract he's getting from Jacksonville is a total worth of $72 million, right?
Yeah. When I say A.J. Brown, A.J. Green, up, whatever. Like,
I mean, he had 982 yards last season. I mean, he has been a semi-decent wide receiver over the course of his career.
When I look at like guys like Christian, like I put these guys in together like him, Cortland Sutton.
I would much rather have Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think didn't they all come out the same kind of draft class in a way, or like similar. But when I put them in, I put him in that kind of category. Jerry Jeudy,
right? That was 2018.
Cortland Sutton was drafted 2018 as well.
Yeah. So when I look at like those two guys, I'm like, yeah, Cortland Sutton's better than Christian Kirk, but he got $72 million. So hey, get paid, young man, get paid.
Hey. TJ, just use your motto. But yeah, I think when you look at their roster, I actually like the Will Hernandez signing. I think he's been an underrated guard for most of his
underrated.
For most of his career. So good for him to get on the team. Actually might actually win some games next season.
Check it up, David. He's allowed. I think he's allowed over like a 4 or 5 year span or so. He's allowed the least amount of sacks from that guard position, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, they re-signed James Conner, 3 years, $21 million deal after he had a monster season last year. They re-signed A.J. Green, obviously Will Hernandez. This guy is one of the most underrated guards, maybe in the entire league.
Yeah, it's he just needed out of New York. Like that one.
I mean, they re-signed Andy Lee, who's one of the better punters in the National Football League.
Yeah, he rarely gives up a sack from that guard position. He's as solid as they come, man.
Colt McCoy, they re-signed to be their backup because they're probably going to need him at some point. Dennis Karnak, backup linebacker. Jeff Gladney, they re-signed former. Oh wait, Jeff Gladney passed away, right? Yeah. Never mind. Never mind. Yeah, rest in peace. Sorry. And then they re-signed Max Williams. They re-signed Mike Dogby. But yeah, I mean, they did a pretty good job with their roster shakeup. I mean, this is kind of what happens when you. Chandler Jones.
I like their offensive line.
I mean, like what's not being said enough is, all right, you're officially in win now mode. You're in win now mode, right? You trade for DeAndre Hopkins again, like that's already been stated. You paid Kyler Murray. You're in win now mode, right? Like if you don't at least get to the NFC Championship, right?
Or at least out of the first round. I mean, come on.
It's NFC Championship. Like you at least have to get to that game. That's the game you have to get to, right? Your division is probably the toughest one in football.
No, it's not. It
might be one of the toughest ones.
It's probably the third toughest, maybe.
You have the just the top three alone. You have the Super Bowl champs, yourself, and the team that went to the NFC Championship a year ago.
Yeah, and I expect the 49ers to take a step back.
We talked about it. Man, TJ, that 49ers schedule was brutal.
Speaking of a brutal schedule, let's talk about the Arizona Cardinals schedule. Their first game, their schedule is difficult too. Like all of these teams in the NFC West have a gauntlet of a schedule. Their very first game of the season is where Kansas City Chiefs come into the big toaster there in Arizona. Gentlemen, what do we think happens here when they go up against the Kansas City Chiefs? First game without DeAndre Hopkins.
Is it?
First game without Chandler Jones.
I think it's going to be high scoring. I think it might be in the 30s, 40s, 30s.
Yeah, one team might.
I actually think Arizona's going to get blown out in this game.
You think the Cardinals going to get blown out?
Yeah, I think
it could get ugly.
Man, you guys, you have high hopes for Kansas City's defense, huh?
It could. I don't have high hopes.
It's just that, like when I look at Arizona on offense, I'm like outside, like without DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, especially the first game of the season, like Kyler Murray was holding out this whole time. Who knows how bright he is for the season? How established his stuff is.
I mean, no Tyrann Mathieu, no Travarius Ward, no Melvin Ingram, no more on that team.
I know, no Chandler. No Chandler Jones on this team anymore to play defense for this team.
Well, I'm talking about KC.
I know. I'm giving you the counter with Arizona. I mean, this could be a high scoring game, but I guess Kansas City to win the game. I have Arizona falling to one.
My thing is this, right? One team got Pat Mahomes, the other team got Kyler Murray. Pat Mahomes gonna make the throws that Kyler can't make at the end of the day. And Kansas City, all they got to do is say, hey, we score and we stop them one time. We get them down 14 one time. Good enough. Got them.
Touche.
I think Kansas City will win the game. I actually think they're going to win by a lot.
I'm gonna
I'm not gonna predict a lot. I'll predict the win. I'll predict the win for Kansas City, but it won't be a lot. It'll be a close game.
I'm gonna say 10 to 14. Like Kansas City, Arizona might make it close, right? They might make it a 3-point game at some point, but Kansas City get a late touchdown and put them back up 10. That'd be all she wrote.
We're gonna see Isaiah Simmons and Xavier Collins get tested with Travis Kelce though.
Absolutely.
100%. The next week they go to the Death Star there at Allegiant Stadium there in Las Vegas, Nevada, take on the Las Vegas Raiders. Izzy, who wins this game and why?
Man.
Sheesh.
Who's checking Devontae Adams?
Murphy Bunting, probably, or Byron Murphy.
Okay, nice try. Good try on that one.
With Buda Baker hanging up over the top of the entire game.
I'm actually going to go with Vegas to win this one in another close loss for the Arizona Cardinals. They might come out the season 0-3, in my opinion. That's just saying.
I agree with you.
3 close
balls. I think they fall in this game. I also think they lose that game to Los Angeles Rams, even though that game is at home. I'll have them starting the season 0-3. TJ.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna be shocked,
bro. Like these top 3 games, these first 3 games, the winnable game is Vegas.
Yeah.
That's a winnable game.
That is a winnable game. It's gonna be real close to the point where I think you could pick it. It's a toss up.
Hey, bro, and it's not even Devontae Adams, bro. It's like
it's a lot of other people.
Can you check Hunter Renfrow?
Can you check Aaron
or Jalen Waller or Josh Jacobs or the Drake?
The Drake. You just wanted to say the Drake. That's all you wanted. That's all you wanted to say.
He did. That's it. He did.
I like him.
I bet you're gonna pick him. We'll get to that.
Generate enough pressure to knock Derek Carr off his spot, right? Like
that's a big one right there. Another thing. I know that him and Devontae Adams played in college, and they're like really close friends, probably best friends. But I wonder like the chemistry of not playing like for such a long time with each other and playing at the pro level. How much chemistry is going to be at least in that second week of that season?
I mean, man, like it's anytime you don't see a friend for a long time. Like once you see them, it's like no time has ever passed.
Yeah, it's like riding a bike.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, think about you used to hoop with a friend and you don't see him anymore. And then all of a sudden you guys play together after
it better be a career year for Derek Carr.
Let's see, man, he's getting paid like it. The next game they go to the Carolina Panthers, take on whatever that stadium's called, RCA Dome. That's not called the RCA Dome.
TJ,
that's what the Colts stadium is.
Do you have them beating the Rams at home? Or losing to the Rams at home?
No, he's gonna lose.
They lose.
That's the L.
They go to Carolina, take on the Carolina Panthers. That stadium is called the what is it?
Is that M&T Bank?
Oh, no, Bank of America Stadium.
Bank of America. My bad.
Yeah. Was it used to be called the RCA Stadium or RCA? Whatever.
I think it used to be called what Izzy said.
M&T Bank is
that's where the Ravens
That's
play.
the Ravens play. Yeah, where the Ravens play. Yeah.
All right. Anyways, they go to Carolina. I think this is where they get their first win of the season. They get out the schneid. The quarterback situation in Carolina doesn't make me feel with any kind of confidence at all. Let me beat Carolina.
I agree. They get out the schneid here.
So this is probably Matt Rule's last game as a head coach.
As it rightfully probably should.
Wow.
I'm being sarcastic. If they fire Matt Rule week 4 into the season,
they're desperate. They ain't gonna fire him in week 4.
Man, like holy cop out, Batman. Like that. Yeah, that's what that.
They won't fire him. They won't fire him week 4.
But yeah, they either get their first win of the season or they get their second win of the season if everything go right in that Vegas game. All right. So yeah, they either 1-3 at this point, or they 2-2.
Yeah, I got 1-3. Moving on to the next game, they go to Philadelphia Eagles coming to town with Jalen Hurts and his virtuoso machine. Do they win that game against Philadelphia?
Yes, I think they win that game.
You already know my answer.
In this situation, I trust Kyler more than I trust Jalen Hurts.
If this game was in Philadelphia, I would probably take the Eagles. But
I would take the Eagles, but it's
in Arizona, so I'm going to take the Cardinals to win this game. I got them moving up to 2-3, and I know Izzy's taking Mr. Virtuoso himself.
Oh, you already know I'm taking Philly, bro. I'm taking Philly, man. That's a 11-12 win ball club. I didn't get to do the podcast with you guys from Philly. I called it 12 wins for them. This is a W. Let's go.
Moving on from there, they go to the Seattle Seahawks into whatever they're going to call it, the 12th man. They beat Seattle. 3-3. They get back to 500.
Hey, but speaking of Seattle, I just want to give a shout out to DK Metcalf's agent, who, do y'all know that DK Metcalf, when he turns 27, he's going to be a free agent again, and by the time he's a free agent again, guess who getting the bag? Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
DK gonna piggyback right off.
Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. Yeah. They man really get paid.
He's about to be a nice, wealthy person.
And then the next week, the New Orleans Saints come into the Big Toaster. Do they beat the Saints in Arizona? TJ.
Is Michael Thomas playing?
Yeah, he's looked very good in training camp. Take that as it is.
Hey, Izzy, we can do that all we want, but it's all we have to go off of.
Apparently, he's looked very good in training camps. So
Okay.
take that.
You know what else good in training camp that they said? EQ St. Brown. So come on.
Hey, man, he's part of the St. Brown dynasty. All right.
All right.
Don't they have a brother that's potentially going to get drafted this year?
Yeah, Osiris.
Yeah, Osiris. Yeah. And then John Brown was like Mr. Olympus. Their dad, John Brown.
No, they're not related. Stop it.
No. Their dad was like literally like
John
that,
Brown.
bro.
Yeah. It's John Brown.
Not like the wide receiver, John Brown.
No. John Brown, the Mr. Olympus.
I thought you meant literally John Brown, the wide receiver.
John Brown is their dad. Yeah, John Brown is their dad. Yeah.
Okay, so again with New Orleans, the Alvin Kamara situation has literally just been swept under the rug. Like I don't know what's going on.
He can thank Sean Watson for that one.
See, that's the thing. When I was picking like some of these games, I was taking that into account. Like, is Kamara like what the hell was going on with that?
What's going on? Ain't heard nothing.
And you will continue to hear nothing, I'm sure, because as long as the Sean Watson thing is dominating the news cycle,
dude,
nobody cares that Alvin Kamara.
Okay, whatever. I'm sure the fan, whatever the fan did to Alvin Kamara, whatever he did was probably out of pocket as hell. But you just beat the holy bludgeon out of him.
Yeah,
and it doesn't like. Where's the suspension at?
There's not going to be one. But yeah, I'm taking New Orleans to win this game. I just think New Orleans is going to, on paper, they have a roster that's built to go to the playoffs and make a deep run. I like their team a lot. Actually.
I think the unsung hero for the Minnesota for the New Orleans Saints is going to be Honey Badger.
Yeah, Jarvis on this team now too. It's like LSU too.
Right.
Imagine if they sign OBJ too. If he ends up on this team too.
That would be insane. Like
that would be wow.
They tried, like Jarvis Landry definitely threw the recruiting pitch out there, but I don't think nobody's gonna sign Odell Beckham for at least the first 2 months of the season. So which is why the Rams are still in play, like they're still holding out for Odell because they can sign him to a relatively cheap deal because he's coming off an injury. But I think New Orleans defense is going to be nasty. I mean, it's always Cam Jordan. It's always nasty. They just didn't have the quarterback play last season to help back it up.
Yeah, I mean their defense was awesome last season.
I don't know. I don't know if they still do.
I mean, James Winston was pretty good last season.
I know he was, but
all right. Make the pick. I'm taking the Saints.
I made my pick on that.
Hey. It was good enough to beat y'all 38-3. I'm just.
I know. Yeah, I know. Whatever. Next game.
Moving on from there, they go into Minnesota, take on the Minnesota Vikings, and I think they go into a 2-game losing streak here. I think they lose to Minnesota in Minnesota. TJ didn't get to do the Minnesota show, but I predicted Minnesota to be like a really good team next season.
Oh, okay. So when we did Izzy, you weren't here for this. When we did our Bears show, I predicted Minnesota to win the division. Minnesota's my pick to win the North.
They're going to be. I think me, David Henderson, and I think Latrell did the Minnesota show.
I might not have been on the Minnesota show.
But you weren't on the Minnesota show. I predicted Minnesota and Green Bay to be neck and neck. And I predicted Minnesota to win 12 games this year.
Yeah, I think Minnesota's going to be real good next season.
Yeah. I'm predicting a W for Minnesota.
They beat Arizona. They're dropping to 3-5.
And Minnesota.
I got them at 2-6.
Minnesota's a tough place to play. Like they get that ball going. They get that annoying ass horn going on every first down. Yeah, it's
They get the skull chant going. Skull. Still keep on losing. All right, anyways, let's go.
Moving on from there, they go to Seattle. Or Seattle comes there. They're going to win that game. Let's not even talk about it. They go to Los Angeles Rams. This is their second game they're going to play against them. This game is in SoFi Stadium. Do they get swept by the Rams? Yes or no?
This is a big game for them in their season. They have to win this game to stay. If they lose this game, it's a potential. You know, in my book, they're 3-6. If they lose 7 games at this point, you still got to play the Chargers. You still got to play Tampa later on in the season.
You still got to play San Francisco. You got to say twice. I mean, you got Tampa Bay.
You have to win.
I think they lose this game against the Rams. I think they go to the SoFi Stadium and
well,
they lose.
wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
So
after that New Orleans game, DeAndre Hopkins is back. So DeAndre Hopkins should be back again for that Week 8 game against Minnesota.
Yeah, but I still think Minnesota's.
I still don't change my opinion.
About Minnesota. Okay, with the Rams now, like I said yesterday, I'm a glass half empty guy. I'm gonna say that they split with the LA Rams. I ain't gonna say LA's unbeatable here, but I'm gonna say they split. They know the magnitude of this game. It's a big midseason game. They need to win. They're 3-6 in my book right now. They need to pick up a 4th one. They can't lose a 7th game right here. They pick up the W and win in Los Angeles and split.
I disagree with you. I think the Rams win the game.
I don't hate that.
I don't hate it. I don't see it.
I don't hate that. You don't see it. He don't see it, but I can. I don't know. Like, it depends on like how both teams are looking at this stage of the season. They do need a split they need to at least split with the Rams because they're sweeping Seattle. They are probably gonna split with San Francisco. Right? And like some home and home type nonsense. I can but then again I can wholeheartedly see them sweeping San Francisco too.
I could see that happening as well. But yeah, I don't think they beat the Rams either time. But yeah, I'm gonna take the Rams to win the game. TJ, Rams?
Yeah, I gotta go. Yeah, I gotta go. I just think it's just too much. I think it's too much.
And then they have 2 games back-to-back at home before they get into their bye week. First of all, San Francisco comes to town first of their 2 matchups this season, and then the Los Angeles Chargers come into town. Do you see them winning both of these games, splitting or getting swept these 2 games before they go into their bye at week number 11?
Yes, they win both. I think they win both. I get it that the Chargers, they made moves.
Right.
Boy, they made moves, but at this it's one thing that we can guarantee: death taxes and either Derwin James or Joey Bosa getting hurt.
Khalil Mack at this point.
Khalil Mack at this point.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna be in agreement with TJ. I think they win both of these games at home.
Yeah, I disagree. I think they beat San Francisco. And I think they lose to the Chargers. Of course, I think they lose to the Chargers, right? But yeah, I just think the Chargers.
The Chargers are like a 14-win team, don't you?
I do. I think I have like 13 wins when we did their season preview, man. I think the Chargers are for real. They're big time. They're going to win the West. After their bye, they go New England Patriots roll into town. For some reason, I wrote Patriots. I know none of the other teams I did for that. I'm going to fix that in a second. But yeah, New England at home in the Big Toaster. Do they beat Bill Belichick at home?
Yes,
they do beat New England.
Yes, again, like the mystique that is Bill Belichick is, first off, bro, you're like 80. Go sit down, please. Like, go away.
I agree with you. I have them beating New England Patriots coming out of that bye. Then they go to Denver, probably at a point in this season where a game where both teams can't afford to lose another. Do they beat Denver in Mile High? Yes or no, TJ?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
I'm actually gonna pick Arizona to beat Denver in Denver.
I'm gonna agree with you. I think Arizona is gonna be a more desperate team at this point in their season. I do think they're gonna they're going to beat Denver. This game is in Mile High. And then Tampa Bay the next week comes to town. Tom Brady, probably his last visit to the Big Toaster, maybe. Who knows anymore? Do they beat Tampa Bay? This game is in Arizona. Izzy?
Go ahead and pick against Tom Brady. You know you want to.
I know, man. I know. I ain't picking against that, man. I'm going with the Bucks, man. I'm going with the Bucks for the.
Go ahead, David. I know you want to too.
I've spent most of my life picking against Tom Brady, and I've usually ended up eating my words, and so I'm not going to make that mistake again. At least not this week. So I'm going to take Tampa Bay to win the game. Tampa Bay. I think when you look at the offense that Tampa Bay is going to have this season, I just don't see how Arizona is going to be good enough on defense to stop that. And that's how I feel about it. So Tampa Bay wins the game. They fall to 7-8. You're not picking against Tom Brady, are you, TJ? And then their final two games are on the road. They go to Atlanta and they go to San Francisco. Both of those games are basically must wins for the Arizona Cardinals if they have any hope of making it into the playoffs. Do they win both games? Yes or no, TJ?
Yes.
They beat Atlanta. They lose to San Francisco. They're a 9-8 ball club, and they probably miss the playoffs or get that last wild card side. See, depending on how it shakes up, but they're in the hunt. But I don't know if 9 wins gets the last slot. It might.
It's gonna be close. It's gonna be close.
It's gonna be close because we talked about it yesterday that the NFC's top heavy, but the bottom half of the playoff picture is probably going to be 10 and 9 win teams.
Yeah, I agree. I have them at 9-8 too. I have them actually sweeping these two games. I have them beating Atlanta, and then I have them going into Levi Stadium and beating the San Francisco 49ers, who I said yesterday is going to take a step back. I think they're going to regress a little bit.
Okay, so
Lance is a big unknown.
We all got them at about, bless you. We all got them at about 8 to 9 wins. Like, can they get that? If you have to pick a game for them to get that 10th win, go back to the schedule, David.
Yeah, hold on.
If you have to pick a game for them to get that 10, like to win 10 games, who gets what game?
I think they could beat the Chargers in their house, and I also think they could beat New Orleans in their house. They could potentially win both those games and get to 11 wins.
I think when it comes to me and their losses, I'm picking Vegas, and then definitely I'm picking Philly too. I mean, I'm just a little biased when it comes to Philly. I really like that team.
Of course.
I'm really biased.
I agree with you. I think they could beat Vegas too. A game that I had them losing against Vegas, yeah, they could win all 3 of those games and get to 12 wins.
Yeah, and then I mean, we can throw it out there. I mean, I know as good as Minnesota's going to be. With DeAndre Hopkins coming back, anything goes, right?
Yeah, I mean, let's not pretend like Minnesota has like this stout secondary. They don't. They got whatever's left of Patrick Peterson and not a whole lot else.
Yeah, and they got Harrison, Hitman Smith, and then
whatever's left of him.
And then a whole bunch of young guys.
Lewis Seen, right? Lewis Seen's on that team now, so yeah, it's a lot of unknown, a lot of question marks.
A lot of young guys, yeah. Yep.
TJ.
Oh, to Izzy's point, I think they could catch Kansas City real quick, punch them in the mouth, but a lot would have to go their way early for them to do that. Kansas City is not a team where even without Honey Badger and Tyreek Hill, you still can't walk in there thinking, we ain't got to worry about Tyreek Hill on the outside. They still got that man on their sideline. They still got him, right? So I can see them.
Travis Kelce
still got him. I was like, can they steal that one against Kansas City? Yeah. Do I think it's unlikely? I do. It's probably the game. But yeah, that game is probably a 70-30 in favor of Kansas City. I guess Minnesota, because what's his name, DeAndre Hopkins is back, and that's gonna be the shootout.
Yeah, that might be one of the most entertaining games of the entire season.
That's
yeah,
gonna be
I mean, essentially, we all have them about 9 to 8 wins. I don't think 9 to 8 wins will be enough to get you into the playoffs in the NFC. I think they'll be right there on the fringe of the playoffs. I will. I mean, if we'll see what happens with Arizona. Let us down in the comment section what you think Arizona is going to be like this season. We may be taking tomorrow off. I don't know if he's got maybe it's a college football show maybe planned for tomorrow or something of that nature.
No,
But
I am traveling. I'm going to Atlanta.
to Atlanta. So Saturday we're going to be doing our 500th episode special. We got a bunch of fun little quizzes, a bunch of little trivia, kind of like just kind of some fun stuff that we can you guys can play along with us here at Prime Sports World as we try to do some trivia. I have some really fun like diagrams that have like a bunch of pictures of a bunch of players that like teams that players played on, and you have to kind of guess who the player was. So I got some fun diagrams that we can kind of have some fun with. I got some quizzes we can do. It should be a lot of fun. And then Sunday is going to be the crossover. We're going to be talking about the teams, the players that we think are going to break out this season. Some really interesting players as we wind down towards the start of the NBA training camp almost actually here within the next month or so. But yeah, I've been David Huppman right there. CJ Hopkins, CEO of Prime Sports World right there in the middle. And gentlemen, what do we do here at the Prime, my friends?
We bring the heat, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, we bring the heat, baby. And it's supposed to be oppressively hot here in Fort Wayne on Saturday, so I'm not looking forward to that. But also, if you can please like, share, and subscribe to the show, we would very much appreciate it. And we will see you guys on Saturday. Y'all have a great weekend. Stay safe. And have a safe flight, man. Have a safe flight, man.
Yeah,
I thank you, sir.
Yeah, and drink responsibly. Yes,
drink responsibly. It's Thursday, baby.
It's Thirsty Thursday, baby. I'll see you guys later.